Hey everybody, I'm Bede, aka the Terrible Australian at supermarcy.com, and welcome to the 5th edition of my 2015 MIFF video reviews. For this one, I will be reviewing the drug addict drama Heaven Knows What, and as well as the Australian documentary GAYBY BABY. So let's get right into it. Now, as I stated in other videos in the past, as if you've been watching them, you'll automatically know what I'm about to say. I've got my MIFF guide here, which will which I'm going to be reading out all the synopsises for the films that I'm reviewing. So that way I don't end up butchering them, but knowing me, I probably will. So, so let's get right into it. Now, first up, of course, is Heaven Knows What. 19-year-old Harley lives amongst the sleazy underbelly of New York. Drug addicted and homeless, she drifts from her abusive boyfriend Elia to the panhandling dealer Mike, forever living in the moment. Harley searches for instances of beauty amidst the harsh reality of her world. As you expect, this being sort of a film that's about drug addicts, this is not the most pleasant film to watch, but at the same time, that's one of the things I really admired about the film. Like, I've seen a lot of films about drug addicts in the past, like Trainspotting and Requiem for a Dream, and there's many others. But what I think really strikes me the most about this film is how realistic it is. Like, you watch this film and there's a rawness to it and an authenticity to it that makes it feel real. Like, there's nothing Hollywoodized or mainstream or any about this film. And that's one of the things I really liked about it, because this is a warts and all gritty, raw and honest portrayal of drug addicts, and I think one of the reasons why that is that the film star Ariel Holmes, who plays the role of Harley, this is her life story, and the filmmakers behind this film, Josh and Bede, who I've never actually heard of until this film, but I know they're sort of very prolific filmmakers in the indie film world. They came across her, and she wrote a book about her experiences living as a drug addict and being homeless in New York. And when they were adapting the book to this film, they asked her, would you like to star as the lead character in this film? And of course the main character is her. Like, there's no buts about it. Like, yeah, because it's a name change, but it's her story, and she's reliving all these moments on screen, and that's, I think, what makes this film, in a way, powerful, is that, and authentic as a film, is that, is that it is based on real events, and it's the real events of the person you're watching on screen, and, like I said, and it just makes the film feel more grounded and real, and also what's interesting is that a lot of the only sort of named actor I know in this film is Caleb Laundrie Jones, who is an actor who I've seen pop up in a lot of films over the last few years. He played Banshee in X-Men First Class, but he was also in other films like Byzantium, Antiviral, and also another film I saw at MIFF last year, Queen and Country, and he's one of those actors. He's kind of like the only name actor in this film, and he plays the role of Elia in the film, and he does a really good job. But I think all the supporting cast, I think, are all first-time actors. These are people who have never acted in a film before, and everyone does a really great job. And it makes me wonder if what I'm seeing on the screen is acting, or if they just let the actors off and just did their own thing and just sort of filmed from afar, because that's what the film feels like a lot of the time. It feels like a documentary, because a lot of the time the directors kind of shoot from far distances, and it almost has this sort of voyeuristic kind of quality to their direction, and it just makes the film feel, like I said, almost like a documentary rather than an actual film, and that to me makes it sort of more believable and honest as a film. But at the same time, though, and this isn't a knock against the film, this is just my comfortable factor. At the same time, it makes it a very uneasy watch and unpleasant watch as well. That's not to say that it's a bad film. It's not. It's a really good film. But this is a type of film where I know that I admire the film a lot, and there are a lot of really good things about it, and I can understand. But it's a film that I probably would never ever watch again after this one. It's not this, like I said, it's not a bad film at all. It's not. It's a really good film. It's just one of those. I mean, it's the same like all films about drug addicts. I mean, you kind of watch them kind of once, and you just don't want to like watch them again. But that's nothing against a knock against the film. It's just, I mean, that's just me. So that's just that's just me personally. But like I said, it's not a knock against the film at all. And but at the same time, it's still a really good film, really well directed. The Safdie brothers are really good filmmakers, and I'm interested to see sort of more of their work. The performances are great, but Ariel Holmes is the star of this film. She is fantastic. For somebody who's never acted before until this film, she is astonishing, and she's probably one of the big major highlights of the film. And like I said, mainly because this is her. Like, this is her story. This is her going through, reliving a lot of these moments from her life. I assume, I don't know which is real or what's not, and so I've never read the book, so I can't really say for certain, but I can assume just watching the film that sort of how, like I keep using this word throughout this part of the review, authenticity to it, that I just feel like, yeah, this is real, but she's terrific. She's definitely one of the best performances I've seen so far this year, and I'd say the film is just worth just checking her out. But it's a really good film. Like I said, it's not an easy film, and at the same time, it's kind of a plotless type of film as well. It's kind of aimless. There's no real story or anything like that. You kind of just spend a couple of days in the life of these addicts, and that way kind of knocks the film a bit. Not to say I'm one who needs like a free act structure or anything like that, but I kind of wish there was a bit more sort of meat to at least this film's story or plot. But other than that, I think it's a really good film. Not a comfortable film, not a pleasant film, and kind of grueling in a way. And some of the performances, even though they're really good, did grind my gears a little bit. Mainly it's the characters rather than the performances. But I still think it's a really good watch. It won't be for everyone, and I can understand definitely not working for anyone, but I'd definitely say it's worth a watch, for sure. So if I had to give Heaven Knows What a rating, I'd probably give it a 3.5. Like I said, it probably would have been higher, but like I said, it's not wasn't the most easiest of experience or most pleasant of experiences for me watching this film. So, but at the same time, it's still a really good film that I recommend everyone to check out. So now on to the next film, which of course is the Australian documentary GAYBY BABY. Meet Gus, Ebony, Matt and Graham, 10 to 12-year-olds each coping with growing up. As they navigate challenges of school, sport, friends and their futures, they do so within loving homes and with caring parents, who just happen to be gay or lesbian. It's a situation that's debated over that's still debated over it's a situation still debated over and legislated against, as director Maya New knows from experience. Inspired by her own upbringing in a same-sex household with two mums, she crafts an intimate portrait of childhood, showing the complexity and colours of these four families far beyond the issue of sexual orientation. Again, this is one of those films, like I've sort of mentioned in previous videos before, that I never even heard of until I read it in the MIFF program, and this was one that I was sort of umming and ahhing about. I mean, it was still a fascinating idea for a documentary, but I was sort of had to go through my list and figure out what other ones I really wanted to see, but in the end I chose this film, and I have to say it was a good choice. I think this is a really good documentary, and one I really recommend everyone to check out, and Maya New does a great job with this doco. This isn't a doco that's well, I think it's an important documentary in a lot of ways, but because in a way, we kind of live in this sort of, and I don't want to sort of get too political here, but we kind of live in this world, you got the right or conservatives believing that, children should be raised by both a father and a mother, and that kids will be screwed up if they're raised in same-sex households. But when you kind of watch this film, that is far from it. Like these 4 kids are really well adjusted. They're just normal average kids, and their home life is just like anyone else's. So I think that pretty much that complaint from some people's pretty much thrown out the window within the first 5 minutes of this documentary. But what I really liked about this documentary, though, was the kind of the mundaneness of it. Not to say that's a bad thing, that's actually a good thing, because we kind of just spend, our time with these families and what they're going through, and also the kids themselves and what they're going, how they feel about growing up, and what they're dealing with in school, and even larger than life stuff. I mean, one of the kids, one of the boys in the film, I believe Gus, he is a huge WWE wrestling fan, and that's sort of like the main kind of drive with in his kind of plot, because his section of the documentary, because his 2 mums think that he's getting too obsessive about it, and that's just the thing. It's just, this is a documentary about, the kids' relationships with their parents, and I really like that this doco, it's all told from the kids' perspective and how they feel about, their families, and how they feel personally about how society views them, and I think that sort of gives the film a different perspective on the whole thing, because we usually would see it more from the parents' point of view, but the fact we're seeing it from the children's eyes gives it something better, and it's just makes it an even more compelling film. And some of the kids just sort of go through their own things. One of the Ebony is one of the girls who's her mum's, one of her big struggles is that she really wants to get into a performance art school, and one of the other kids, I believe Matt, is sort of struggling with like reading and at school, and and how his dad's trying to help him with that, and especially moving to Fiji, and that sort of how that sort of affects him. But one of the ones that really I found the most compelling was one of the boys, Graham. His 2 mums are religious and practicing Christians, and it's what I really liked about his story is like how he is coping, because he's being raised Christian as well, but his parents are very open-minded that it's okay to question things, and you can decide whether you do believe in God or not, and it's his sort of like section of the documentary is trying to figure out like how he feels about his faith, and about how society feels about his parents, because of course with some people out there who believe that being gay is a sin, and he sort of tries to figure that out, like how can, like especially from his mum's point of view, watching it, like how can his mum be religious when everyone of hers who practices the same faith as her thinks that she's a sinner and stuff like that, and it's him trying to figure that out, and especially at a young age as well, at the age of 12, and a lot of sort of like complex and introspective existential questions that he's trying to figure out. And I found, of the 4 stories, and I think all of them are really compelling, he was the one I found the most engaging because of the whole film, and it was interesting but at the same time all the stories are great, and it's interesting to see these kids and their point of view on their world, and how the world views them, and how they feel, and about their parents, and it's just a really good documentary, and I just think it's an important one, and I think it's one that I think everyone needs to check out, and it's just lovely, and it's both insightful, engaging, and also at times it can be quite funny and also moving as well. So it's just really great. It's great stuff. So if I had to rate GAYBY BABY a rating, I would give this one 4 out of 5. It's a really good documentary, and I highly recommend everyone to check this one out as well. So yep, that's the end of my MIFF video. That's the end of this 5th edition of my MIFF video reviews. Keep a lookout very soon for my 6th edition, in which I'll be talking about the documentaries My Life, directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, and Raiders. So keep a lookout for that one, and I'll see you guys all later. See you, everyone. Bye.